Hello and welcome to Watches You Can Afford. In today's video, we are going to be looking at 20 affordable alternatives to Rolex watches. Everybody wants a Rolex. It's after all the most popular luxury watch brand the world has ever known. It goes above and beyond the prestige of any other name in the watchmaking world, and this can be seen in the sales as well, making for a quarter of all Swiss watch sales back in 2020. On the other hand though, due to their extremely high price tags, not everybody can afford a Rolex, which is why most people are left to look for Rolex alternatives. There's plenty of watches similar in styling and features to a Rolex, but very different in pricing, usually at least a few times lower. So if you're curious what are the best affordable alternatives to Rolex watches, you've come to the right place. Here are some of our favourite timepieces that we definitely recommend. So to begin with, there are in total 13 Rolex watch models, some of them extremely cherished and others a little less popular, and we found alternatives to all of them. So we'll start this list with one alternative for each of the slightly less popular Rolex models, and then we'll give you two alternatives for the most popular Rolex watches. So starting with the Rolex Milgauss, the alternative we found would be the Tissot Gentleman Powermatic 80 Silicium. The Tissot Gentleman Powermatic 80 Silicium is a wonderful pick if you're a fan of the Rolex Milgauss watch, which is a watch used by engineers and scientists all over the world for its anti-magnetic properties, able to withstand magnetic fields of up to 1000 Gauss, hence its name. The Tissot version comes with the Powermatic 80 movement based on the renowned ETA caliber 28242, but with some required upgrades. One of these upgrades has seen the standard balance wheel replaced with one made out of silicone, which is entirely anti-magnetic. Next on our list is the Rolex Air King alternative, and the alternative we chose is the Citizen NJ0100. The Rolex Air King is not as high priced as other Rolex watches, so there aren't many alternatives to satisfy Rolex enthusiasts out there. But there's the Citizen NJ0100 with a similar simple design as the Air King, a stainless steel flat 3-link bracelet and automatic movement. It's a good and cheaper replacement, at least until you save up some money to be able to buy the real deal. Onto the Rolex Sky Dweller alternative, we found the Tudor Pelagos. The Tudor Pelagos is still an expensive watch to be had, but it's at least half cheaper than the Rolex Sky Dweller. It's similar in appearance, so since Tudor is a sister company of Rolex, it makes sense they make really close alternatives, but more affordable without skimping on quality. Their Pelagos watch features a helium escape vent at the 9 o'clock position, which makes it efficient and keeps it ticking even deep underwater. It's got a 42mm case with a superb ceramic black dial and titanium unidirectional bezel, both covered with a luminescent coating. The watch is COSC certified and comes powered by the hand-wound MT5612 caliber and has a good 70-hour power reserve. For the Rolex Yachtmaster alternative, we found the Invicta Pro Diver 9210. The Invicta Pro Diver 9210 is a wonderful choice for those in love with the Rolex Yachtmaster. The Swiss brand, today based in Hollywood, Florida, has focused on making affordable luxury since its inception back in 1837. The watch in question is very similar to the Yachtmaster, almost identical, with a case size and dial design that match those of the Rolex. The timepiece is powered by Japanese NH35A automatic movement, which is visible through the clear case back. The case itself has a depth rating of 200 meters, so you can even go diving with it. For the Rolex Cellini alternative, we found the Timex Marlin. A good alternative to the stylish Rolex Cellini watch, the Timex Marlin boasts a simple and timeless design with a nice and clean dial, which makes for an overall elegant look. The watch comes in several versions with either a steel bracelet or leather strap, black or white dial, and the case in either silver or gold. The case is 40mm with a water resistance rating of 30 meters, so you shouldn't go swimming with it. The heart of the watch is a 21 jewel automatic movement with a date complication shown in the aperture at 3 o'clock and a power reserve of 40 hours. Another less known Rolex on the list is the Rolex Sky Dweller. So for the alternative, we found the Stuhrling Northstar GMT. The Stuhrling Northstar GMT is a superb timepiece and one that comes with an aesthetic similar to that of the Rolex Sky Dweller. It's got the same features with the positioning differing slightly. The Rolex Sky Dweller is known to be hard to replicate due to its many complications, but this Stuhrling comes close enough with the same colour scheme and those small red accents. The hands and hour markers have the same shape as well. On the other hand though, the Northstar GMT won't have all the functions and complications of the Sky Dweller, and it's obvious since its price is just below $160. But considering the price and the overall aesthetic similarities, it's a very good alternative. Now moving on to the more well-known Rolexes, we have the Rolex Datejust. And the first alternative we have for you today is the Burei Automatic. The Burei Automatic is a homage to the modern Rolex Datejust with a very similar K-shape and design, no crown guards and a fluted bezel. The dial has the same layout as the Datejust and it's got that oversized date window with magnifying lens at 3 o'clock. The watch is powered by an automatic movement and the dial is protected by sapphire crystal glass, so even if it's a cheaper alternative to a Rolex, it doesn't skim on quality materials. And for our second alternative to the Rolex Datejust, we have the Seiko SARB035. The Seiko SARB035 is a superb alternative variant for the Rolex Datejust. It's a premium timepiece with a better price tag and has the very features found on the Rolex, like the case's shoulders, the beveled edges, the finishing boxy shape, and the polished bezel. Inside there's a Japanese automatic movement which beats 20,600 times per hour, and it can be admired through the case back. The dial boasts elegance with its cream white background and super finishes on the hands and the hour markers. The o'clock date aperture comes with a metal frame around it for even more elegance. And of course, we all know the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, so the first alternative we found for this one is the Seiko Prospex. Another Seiko, the Prospex SPB243J1, is a superb watch on the more affordable side, as most Seikos are, but with that premium elegance and materials. It's a good alternative to the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, but also the Datejust. It comes with a 38mm stainless steel case and bracelet, and a jet black dial that sets it apart, establishing a nice contrast. The dial features gold tone luminous hands and indices, adding to the overall elegance of the piece. And for the second alternative to the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, we found the Citizen EcoDrive Black Titanium. While the Seiko Prospex above is priced somewhere above $700, the Citizen EcoDrive Black Titanium comes in a lot cheaper at only around $200, and it looks the part as a Rolex Oyster Perpetual alternative. The 41.5mm case and the bracelet are both made from titanium. The black dial matches the design as it should, with silver tone hands and hour markers, plus a silver frame date aperture at 3 o'clock. Now coming up to probably the most well-known Rolex, the DayDate, the first alternative which we found is the Hamilton Jazzmaster DayDate Auto. This very elegant Jazzmaster from Hamilton in its DayDate Auto variety is a great looking and high quality alternative to the Rolex DayDate. The most impressive similarity is the day aperture placed at the 12 o'clock position like on the Rolex, making them alike. The date window on the other hand is placed opposite to it at the 6 o'clock position, unlike on the Rolex where it's at 3 o'clock. Priced at around $845 and powered by the in-house ETA 28342 based H40 movement from Hamilton, with its impressive 8-hour power reserve, this is a watch to keep for a lifetime, or until you save enough money for the one it replaces. And last but not least, we have the second alternative for the Rolex DayDate, and that is the Seiko SGF206. The Seiko SGF206 has a stunningly similar design to the DayDate, though some features are missing. The date is placed in the same location as the date, instead of being up at 12 o'clock like on the Rolex. Overall, and considering the very minimal price of around $250, it's hard not to take it as a superb alternative. Sure, the quartz movement doesn't compare, but you won't have troubles with it coming from Seiko. So next on the list we have the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, and the alternative which we have is the Lemar. Lemar is an older name in the watchmaking world, forgotten but resurfaced recently. The Lemar chronograph is a modern reissue of an older classic model from their lineup and comes with plenty of interesting features, much like the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona. It also has very similar crowns with the shape and the position matching those found on the Rolex. Its price crosses way higher than the $1,000 mark, but it's around 10 times cheaper than the original Daytona. And the second alternative we have for the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona is the Dan Henry 1962. The Dan Henry 1962 is a nice and very modern take on the Daytona with the 3 sub-dials in the same position but a more sharp and elegant dial design. The crowns are in the same position as those on the Daytona, but they don't have the same shape. The black tachymeter dial adds a little bit more contrast, being matte black, and overall, you can't go wrong with this watch. It's one of the most interesting chronographs that come under $300. Another well-known Rolex in the men's world especially is the Rolex GMT Master 2nd. So the first alternative we found is the Laurier Hyperion. If you're after the look and feel of the first Rolex GMT Master from back in the days, look no further than the Hyperion from the New York-based Laurier watchmaker. It's got that style and feel, though with a more subdued design and colours. The features are interestingly alike, with an old school domed plexiglass crystal and the loomed plexiglass bezel that's very similar to the radium lit bakelite bezel of the original GMT Master. And another alternative for the Rolex GMT Master II would be the Tudor Black Bay GMT. Though it's way pricier than most Rolex alternatives at over $3,700, the Tudor Black Bay GMT is probably the closest match in recreating the appearance of that Rolex GMT Master II. That recognisable Pepsi bezel and the vintage aesthetic, plus the fact that it's got a true GMT movement, make this the closest thing to a Rolex. It's coming from the sister company after all. For a Rolex Submariner alternative, we have the Gucci Dive. Gucci might not be the first name that comes to mind when thinking of watchmaking, and surely not one that comes as an alternative to Rolex, but their dive model is a solid and much cheaper alternative for the legendary Rolex Submariner. Gucci Dive is a solid diver and a high quality watch overall, and that dial is strikingly similar to the Submariner. The 40mm stainless steel case has a water resistance rating of 200 meters, so it's the real deal, and considering that it's priced around $850, it's a worthy contender. And our second alternative to the Rolex Submariner would be the Orient Kamasu. The Orient Kamasu is a very good choice not only as an alternative to the Submariner from Rolex, but as a dive watch in itself, offering plenty of qualities for under $300, which is very rare these days. It comes with an in-house automatic movement, a 41.8mm stainless steel case, depth rating of 200 meters, sapphire crystal glass, and below all the nice features that make the dial similar to the Submariner. Moving on to the Rolex Explorer, as an alternative we have the Seiko Alchemist. The Rolex Explorer is one of the most popular Rolex models ever created, and the market for alternatives is quite big, but the Seiko Alchemist easily stands out from the crowd for its astonishing similarities and the price tag of $750. Part of Seiko's Prospex watch line, the Alchemist is an impressive field watch that borrows plenty of design elements from the Rolex Explorer. The simplicity of its dial makes it extremely likeable and elegant, and the Seiko Caliber 6R35 automatic is a high performer with an impressive power reserve of 70 hours. And for the second alternative, we have the Vert C3 Tradition Black USA Quartz. Coming in at just above $250, the Vert C3 Tradition Black USA Quartz is an extremely good alternative to the Explorer, with that big triangle at 12 o'clock and the 3, 6 and 9 hour marker layout on a black background reminding exactly of the Rolex in case. The 36mm stainless steel case also fits the profile, and the Fautina Lume or the 3-link Oyster style bracelet also look the part. A legendary brand like Rolex with so many fans around the world is sure to inspire other watchmakers to create their own replicas in the hope that they would appeal to the masses who don't have the buying power for a true Rolex. And among the many Rolex alternatives we've seen, these are our favourites. We didn't feature any cheap Rolex knockoffs here, but excellent timepieces with almost the same design and features. We hope you liked our picks, and we look forward to seeing you next time.